Yes, I invited Ronan to make things exciting.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna be
Can you hear me on? Can you hear me on? Hold on. Can you hear me on the? Can you hear me on the community board? Can you hear me, Mia? Mia, can you hear me?
sorry, I was muted. I can hear you.
Now go on the bottom right side of Zoom. You see where it says more? Does it say more?
Yes, I can hear you. Keep going.
You see where it says more on the bottom of the screen?
Yes, I see the feature. I see that it's asking. The last time we used the
No.
live stream.
So you see where it says live stream to Facebook?
Yes.
So hit live stream to Facebook.
Hold on, because that did not work last time.
Because you must have done it somewhere else. We do it to live stream to Facebook. It's streamed
Okay.
somewhere else. You must hit live stream somewhere else.
Yeah, we used a different it's 4 options. It's Facebook, Workplace by Facebook, YouTube, and live streaming service.
So don't use live streaming service. Use stream to Facebook.
Okay. Hold on, I want to make sure that it's streaming on the CB9 page.
Well, it's going to ask you where you want it to go. When you go to live stream to Facebook, it's going to say, it's going to ask you to put in what the page you want it to go to.
Hold on. See, our page is set up a little bit differently. Just give me a second. I'll be right back. Let me let some people into the meeting. I'll be back.
Hi, Yakov.
Yeah,
Can you hear me?
I can. Who is this?
Hi, this is Fabian Milburn from the Brooklyn Museum.
Hey, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Thank
I'm
God.
gonna make you a co-host until I get.
You can make me a co-host, but I don't have CB9's login. Maybe I do.
No, that's fine. You'll have host privileges now. I already made you one. I'll be right back.
But are you going to stream it?
That's what I'm working on right now. I'll be right back.
It doesn't let me stream. I don't know why.
Oh, gotcha.
No,
Just
because
give
it's
me-
only probably so I could let people in. You're saying I'll get a
Most
notice.
definitely. Yeah, you have all the other admin privileges. I'll be back.
All right, I just want to welcome everybody. We're going to wait a few more minutes before we start. We have some guests still coming. Is Carl Cohen here?
I did see his name. I'm Suraj Paul. I'm the construction manager for the project
At the plaza.
for the plaza. Yes.
Great.
Hi, Simon.
Afternoon.
Hi, good afternoon.
Siraj, I like your background.
It's actually, I'm sitting in my dining room looking out of the back.
For some reason, it reminds me of the Florida Everglades.
Well, no, this is New Jersey, West Orange.
Okay. And it looks like a pelican behind you.
Uh,
To your right, the thing sticking out of the plant. That with the that with the green
Oh.
plants.
Oh, okay. No. It's just, I don't know what you call it, but anyway,
Yes.
it's my wife, little decor at the back.
If anybody needs confirmation, we are now live streaming.
Yay, got it. Okay. Thank you.
It just popped up in my left-hand corner.
Got it. Okay, perfect.
Also recording.
Mia, do you see it on the community board Facebook? I don't see it.
I'm working on it in the background, Yakov.
Right.
Thanks.
Hi, everybody. It's Warren. How's everyone?
I'm good.
Good evening.
Good evening.
This is Tessa, CB9 Public Safety Committee member.
Hello, Tessa.
Hey, Tessa.
I'm Leroy Bennett. I'm with Mr. Cohen, Carl Cohen. You should be
Nice to
joining
meet you.
shortly. Thank you. Likewise.
I'm Fabian Milburn. I'm Chief of Staff and Chief Legal Officer for the Brooklyn Museum.
I'm Suraj Paul from KPL Projects, the construction managers for the plaza and also the new building.
We're gonna give it 2 more minutes and we're gonna start.
Good evening, Yakov. Is Rashida Sadiq and Yankee Pearson with us?
They both said they're coming. I'm gonna check in 1 second.
I'm here. Rashida Sadiq is here.
Hey, Rashida.
Hi, how are you?
Ronan, was that you who just joined? All right. Carmen, are you here?
Yeah, that's me.
Hey, how great, great. All right, so I want to start the meeting. Let me just see. We have, will the committee members please identify themselves? I'm here. I know Rashida's here, Tessa's here. Is anybody else here from the committee? Is Mr. Pearson here? What about, we have one more committee member we're expecting. I see the chair of the transportation's here. Is Janella Basel Charles here? Janella? If you're here, please identify yourself. All right, so we'll check in with her very shortly, but let me just pull up the agenda for tonight's meeting. All right, so first, welcome everybody to the public safety meeting of April. As many of you know, we meet once a month and we address issues of public safety in the community. And we try to liaison between community members and city agencies. Unfortunately, this month we had a shooting in Crown Heights. There was somebody murdered. I believe it was in Beekman, by Beekman Place. According to NYPD, what happened is there was some kind of verbal disagreement within a bar, and somebody pulled out a gun and shot the victim in the face. Unfortunately he died. They are searching for a suspect. They do not believe the victim knew the perp before the incident, but they are searching for him. They do have somebody's name, and hopefully they'll find the perp and bring him to justice. The second item on our agenda is public safety concerns for the proposed Clove Road pedestrian plaza. So before I begin, I want to welcome Carmen Martinez, who's with us tonight. She chairs the Transportation Committee for Community Board 9. And typically a plaza would go under the Transportation Committee. They're really the committee that would address any issues with DOT, but because there are public safety concerns regarding this plaza, and there are residents that have come forward and brought these concerns to the Public Safety Committee, we are going to address it here as well. But Carmen, please unmute yourself so you can interject whenever you want. I'm going to ask, what I'm going to do is like this. I'm going to ask Ronan, who's a community resident, who lives right there, who represents, there's all the residents in the block adjacent to Clove Road. I'm going to ask him to open up as a neighborhood resident to share his thoughts on the plaza, some questions he has about, public safety concerns. Then we're going to turn it over to the architect who's with us tonight and some other people that are involved in the plaza project, and see if they can answer some of Ronan's questions. And of course, Carmen, if you have anything to add or to comment, please interject and give us your thoughts. And then we're going to turn it over to the committee, and the committee could as well question and give input. And of course, we'll turn it over to the community and they could give input as well. Ronan, please open up.
Okay, my name is Ronan Koniarski. I live on Malbone Street, which is it's the corner of Malbone Street and Clove Road. So we're really right on Clove Road. Our kids play on Clove Road all the time. So we've heard about the plaza, and we tried to get information about the plaza, and we were told that both the Department of Transportation and the owner of the building would reach out to the residents here on Malbone Street. I'm on the board. There's a few of us on the board. But I'm an active member on the board here, and I've given my name and my number to numerous people. But as of yet, no one has personally reached out to us to discuss what's happening on the plaza, what we can have input, and what's happening. I mean, there's a few issues happening on Clove Road. First of all, even though they've said that the plaza will now go from Montgomery Street till the parking lot of Associated, that brings up a few issues. First of all, the traffic going down Clove Road, I don't know how that will work out. At the moment, regardless whether Associated closes or doesn't close, right now they have their delivery bay, which is on Clove Road right there, and the trucks till now pretty much come down from Montgomery Street into their bay, because otherwise they have to come up and do U-turns. I don't know how that works. So that's one concern. Also, if they change that to Nostrand Avenue, I would imagine that would become a concern for pedestrians on Nostrand Avenue walking around, that you have the deliveries on the actual avenue. That I don't know how that would work too well with parking and traffic and all that kind of stuff. Then as well, Clove Road itself has public parking on both sides of Clove Road. That's public. Everyone parks there, whoever wants to park there, all the residents. I haven't been told how that's going to work. Even if they're not closing off that part, how do you access the parking? Because right now it's a one-way street going from Montgomery Street to Empire Boulevard. And although what happens physically on the ground today with people going all over the place, but that's the law. So we have to know what they're doing in order to access the public parking on Clove Road, as well as I own on the corner of right across the road from the Associated parking lot. I have my own personal parking. We have a bunch of parking spots, which are legal parking spots. We pay taxes on them. We have deeds, the whole 9 yards. They're told us they're not going to affect my parking spot, but they haven't really discussed how we're going to have access. I mean, maybe they're going to give me helicopter access and plonk my cars down from the sky, but otherwise they haven't told me how we're going to get access in any direction. If they're going to make it a two-way street, a one-way street, one-way parking, they haven't really discussed anything to us. I mean, we're not against anything because we don't know what they're doing. It'd be nice if someone reached out to us, sat down at a meeting, and discussed what's happening. I mean, there's a lot of kids that play around. What kind of plaza they're going to put there? What kind of chairs, tables? I've heard different stories, but no one has really come to talk to us and explain to us exactly what is happening. I mean, they put out a survey, which the people on the block have. We put on all the WhatsApp groups here. So, but no one really understands the survey, what we're supposed to be doing. So that's the concern that I have as a resident. I mean, there's a church at the corner of Empire Boulevard that has a lot of traffic on the Sundays and stuff. I'm sure they haven't been discussed either. So, there's a business at the corners. No one has been told anything what's happening. There's a school. There's a girls' school on right across the road on Montgomery Street. I've spoken to them because my daughter goes to that school, and I've spoken to the board members over there. They haven't been discussed at all what's happening there either, just for the safety concerns of the kids coming and going from school mornings and weekends and stuff like that. So, I mean, our schools are open on Sundays, so that makes a difference. So it would be nice for someone to reach out to us and tell us what's happening so we can have a input and discussion so we know what's happening.
Are the people from the plaza here?
Yes. Uh-huh.
All right. Would you
Yes,
like
I'm Suraj Paul, and we are just in the first phase. We met with the DOT. We did a preliminary drawings to show what we were hoping to do on the plaza. Our plaza does not go all the way through. It stops at the edge of our building. In fact, it's about 2 feet beyond our building line on Clove Road. That's what the DOT so far has approved us to do that plaza there. We were supposed to have meetings, but due to COVID, it kind of slowed a lot of things down, and we are still planning to start having the meetings with the community to show them what we are bringing. We will have a complete set of drawings so you can have a look at them. And we will also give that to the various parties concerned. We're not trying to keep anything behind closed doors. We try to be upfront with everyone concerned. We're here to work with the community. And if anybody have any objections to anything, I think they should air it, and we will give all the necessary Dropbox, and we'll put it on the fence when the DOT tells us it's okay to go ahead and get that done. So right now we are still in talks with the DOT and see the process through. We have we're looking to hopefully start construction for that property within the next 3 to 4 months.
Oh, thank you so much. But Renan asked a question. I just would, if you could address, according to the current plans, if Clove Road becomes a one-way street, how will he access his personal parking? How will the residents access to public parking? And the reason why this is a public safety concern, because if you have a plaza from Montgomery Street down Clove, then Clove there are people going into the plaza and there's cars making U-turns next to the plaza. So we're trying to figure out how is he going to access his space without endangering the local children that will probably be playing in front of that plaza. That's number one. And I think number two is it's very possible the residents of Melbourne support it. I can't speak for them. Ronen can, but I think that even at this stage, you should be reaching out to them and hearing, their input, because they're the ones, and the church and the school, but the neighbors directly affected, because I personally have a concern with regard to the school. I know the plaza is going to be open all night. I know you may not be serving alcohol there all night, but it's going to be open all night because it's a public plaza. So you're going to have private security, making sure there's no parties there at night. I don't know if you're aware, but right now there was an issue last summer in the public school on Crown between New York and Nostrand. There were parties on city property in a closed school. There were parties there till 2:00 in the morning with drugs and alcohol. And eventually it stopped after the community board got involved, NYPD got involved. They reached out to the school. It took, 2 months to stop it, but there were kids that were going to that park or walking by, and this was city property, and there were drugs and alcohol. So is there going to be security enforcing to make sure nothing goes wrong on that plaza? And that's my final question. But please address the parking space in the one-way street and how that's going to work. How is Ronen going to access private parking, or how are the residents going to access public parking if it's a one-way street?
I think that's one of the issues they are still looking at, that when we stop, there's supposed to be no parking to the edge of our building. Right now, it says there's signs there that no parking should take place at the back of.
We're not talking about that parking. We're talking about it further down Clove Road.
Further down, we're not touching anything further.
I understand that. But
Yes.
the access to the parking right now is from the direction of Montgomery Street to Empire Boulevard. If you close off access to Clove Road from Montgomery Street in front of your building, how do you access the parking on Clove Road if you've closed off the access from Montgomery Street?
Well, one of the decisions they're trying to come up with is whether it's going to be closed to emergency vehicles only, or it's going to be a one-way. But we cannot have a plaza active by pedestrians with flowing traffic.
That I understand. And that's my question, is how right now you cannot make, when you come down Malbone Street, you cannot make a right to Montgomery Street on Clove Road. The parking from Malbone Street till on Clove Road, from Malbone Street till your plaza, there is parking, public parking, which is legal. It's alternate side parking, it's
Right.
legal parking. Now, you cannot access that if you close off Malbone Street from the top of Montgomery Street. How will you access that parking? 20 spots or whatever it is. How will that be accessed? I mean,
they're going to have to, I presume the DOT is looking at that. As I said, this is
a lot of presumptions. That's my problem. It's a lot of presumptions. But when I speak to the DOT, and they were at the meeting last night, they don't really they're telling me that they haven't looked at that.
Right. And, one of the things was that We were not informed of the meeting for last night, and we do apologize if an email was missed by us, but we were not told of the meeting last night. But we are trying to work that out. The DOT is trying to work that out. Where it comes to security, that area will be 24-hour security. The
That's
whole
probably
bit.
camera.
No, there'll be physical security.
To a curfew. I mean, you can't have people 2 o'clock in the morning music when all the residents are sleeping. It's not just my building. There's another building
No,
on the street. I mean, you know,
that
Is it
will
gonna
that will not happen because it shuts down at a certain time. We have security. Remember, we have a museum there, and there's some very valuable artifacts and everything. And we will have 24 hours armed security for that part of that bill on Clove Road.
Well, that's great news. We really appreciate, we know that's great news. Ronan, your private parking, is that going to be affected as well, access?
it's the same access as the public parking. It's in the same direction. Yes.
So how is that going to be addressed? We're talking about residents that own actual lots on Clove Road. Now, how is that going to affect their access to their personal lots, which is really, I don't really know. I mean, the DOT could make changes to public parking when somebody owns a property and then you put a plaza between Montgomery and Malbone, they no longer have access to their personal property. So do you have any idea how that's going to be affected by this plaza, or what you plan to do about their access?
Yeah, one of the things that they're looking at is to redirect that traffic back to from Montgomery, going the opposite way. That make the traffic to emergency vehicles both ways. In that, I'm only talking about our area. I'm not talking about the rest of the area. The rest of the area will be something they're going to have to deal with. But one of the things is making that part of it two-way so people can come and park into, I know exactly where you're talking about. It's just at the end, just opposite the supermarket. If I'm right, there's a double spot there for parking. And then the rest of it, they're gonna have to do it. They're gonna have to sort that out. I'm not a traffic expert on this, and they said they're gonna work it out, and I believe that they will.
Okay.
All right, great. So now you've met, so I think that you should maybe give Ronan your contact through the office, through Mia, and you continue the conversation. And I think that, the community may very well support the plaza. That area is not very nice, but let's do it with community coordination with the local church, the local schools, the local residents, and we'll do something beautiful that everybody will appreciate and value, because that's what we all want. We want to work together to make Crown Heights a beautiful community, make it more beautiful. It's already a beautiful community.
Absolutely. I did see, I know that the school there is, they're planning to put a new building there,
Right.
a new school. That we do know. And that should even brighten the area up a lot more. And also the supermarket, not now, but maybe later, they're planning to put a building up.
Yeah,
And
but
I
we'll
think-
still have a supermarket there, and I imagine that would still need access to their loading docks. Does that
Right,
make sense?
we're not infringing on their loading dock.
You can't have access. It's not about no infringement. It's about access.
Well, that's why they're going to change it to a two-way in that part coming back.
Well, that's the first time you said they're going to be two-way.
Until you get to the plaza, then you have to, it's just going to be emergency vehicles only.
Do any committee members or board members, Carmen, do you have anything to add, the chair of the transportation committee, or do any committee members have any questions or anything they want to add to the conversation?
Good evening, everyone.
Hi, good evening.
Hi. The only thing that I want to add to the conversation this evening, and Ronan, I'm glad that he's on this meeting because he was also on the Transportation Committee meeting last night, where we were informed that there were no updates on the Clove Road Plaza because of lack of response from the developer and the architects on the project. So I'm hearing more information tonight that I got yesterday from DOT. And I actually had a conversation with Mr. Cohen earlier this afternoon and invited him to attend this meeting so that he can provide information due to the fact that DOT has not provided any. So I'm happy to see that he's here with his architect and is shedding some lights on the project. Because all of the information that we have been given is that everything is preliminary. There's nothing set in stone. They're still trying to figure out the ins and outs with regard to the private parking for the resident of Malbone. In terms of public parking, I can tell you as someone that lives on Sterling Street, right around the corner from the plaza that they're building on Franklin Avenue from Sterling, well, Franklin, Empire, Washington, that little triangle there. Public parking is disposable as far as DOT is concerned. They got rid of 15 parking spots in that area just to create that little plaza that's 1 block from Prospect Park. So, which is something that the community did not even want. But anyway, DOT is moving forward on it. It should be completed any minute. So the fact that there's public parking available doesn't mean that public parking is going to assist once this plaza is built. They have not given any concrete information as to how they're dealing with the private parking for the Malbone resident, and they've been on Transportation Committee meeting. They have heard it themselves. They keep talking about first they had to look into the legality of the ownership. Then they had to look into how they were going to be able to access their private parking. So the dialogue that's being had this evening is actually shedding more lights with our DOT representative that we did have with DOT representative last night. So I'm glad that Carl Cohen and his architect are here to give you information because it's important that we hear from them because from the information we've gotten before, it made it sound like they ran away from the project. So we're happy to see, and you know, that is not the case. So
No, that's certainly not the case, Carmen. The project is alive and well, and we are just sorting out the filing.
Right.
We got phase 1 of the filing approved. We're waiting now on phase 2, which is the architectural approval. And they're just checking on the energy compliance, and that also will be approved. And once that's approved, obviously, we still have to work with the community on the plaza because this is something for the community. That is what Mr. Cohen's dream is to give this part of it to the community. We will, in the building, we'll have a cafeteria, a small cafeteria. There, a cafe that people can order coffee, sit outside. We're even putting some screens down. If they want to have some movie shows, we can put up the movie shows for the people. There'll be a sort of scattered benching so people can sit comfortably and enjoy the outside on a summer's evening. But Mr. Cohen will maintain the security and the cleanliness of that whole area.
Thank you. Are there any community residents who would like to talk, either people that live in the area or anybody from the community who would like to ask any questions or participate in the conversation? Mr. Newbert.
Yeah, I had a quick question.
You live, where do you live? You want to identify it?
I'm just curious about what guarantees are there that there'll be security maintained and cleanliness maintained. Once the project is built and the plaza is erected, then there's no incentive necessarily for Mr. Cohen or whoever the subsequent owner is to maintain a plaza that was built by the city for Mr. Cohen and his residents without any input from any of the other residents. But what guarantee does the city have? What guarantee do the residents have that any promises made right now will be kept? Is there any contract being made? Is there some lien going to be put on the property? You know, promises are easy to be made. We saw at Atlantic Yards promises of thousands of apartments for affordable housing, a Gehrig design. The moment things were approved, that all fell by the wayside. So not that I doubt you, but you know, there should be guarantees. And what guarantees are there?
Mr. Cohen,
If I-
one of the issues that we did have early on was to make sure that Mr. Cohen have to take out a non-for-profit corporation. So he can have to, he will be paying to clean that area. Now that's number one. Number two is there's a museum there. There is no way that we or Mr. Cohen, and I'm here to speak on his behalf where this is concerned. The plaza in itself is being paid for by Mr. Cohen. No money is coming from the DOT or the city. This is strictly being paid for by, he's giving this to the community. Every dime will be spent on there. That's what he's paying.
If I may piggyback on what, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Carl Cohen and I'm the developer for 7 Clove Road. I've heard the comments from Mr. Ronan, who made a statement last night that I withdrew from the transportation, or my property was withdrew. I would just like to ask him where he got that information from. That's number one. And Mr. Sam Newbart, I want to let you know that I am president for the Precinct Council for 18 years, taking care of the Jewish children in the community, taking care of the Black children in the community, taking care of the seniors. I am the go-between between the Jewish people and the police department, likewise the Black people and every people. I am the go-between. So when you're talking about security, you're talking to security. I am trying to do something for the community to make everybody happy and to make people realize that it can be done by somebody who is respectful and is a community person. So I want you all to be on board with me and don't ask questions as if we are not capable of taking care of the community. I have been taking care of the community for 20 years. I am the one who traveled 5 o'clock in the morning, 4 o'clock in the morning in the Jewish community to make sure that there is no Black and Jews crime or there's no Jews and Black crime. I have paid my fair share and I do not understand the question that you are asking as if we are incapable of handling such a project. This project is for the community. I'm even trying to put a Jewish, a kosher kitchen. I'm installing 3 bedrooms because the Jewish people need 3 bedrooms. So I want you to do your research and make sure that you know that I am the community. I am a part of the community representing you and everybody else.
Mr. Cohen is an old friend. I know him for many years. He is a friend, but I will tell you, and it's true, he has been involved in bringing our communities together. We're actually one community. He's been involved in beautiful outreach, but I will say, I think these questions are justified. Mr. Newbert and Mr. Onen live in the area adjacent to the plaza. They found out about the plaza after the borough president, the local city council members, the community, I don't know about the community board, but multiple elected officials and organizations endorsed the plaza, and the plaza started moving forward to the initial stage. And then the neighbors found out about it. The DOT wasn't even aware that Mr. Ronen owned a parking space adjacent to your lot. So Mr. Cohen, I think it was a mistake on your part for not reaching out to the residents of Malbone. And I think now it's a mistake on your part to take issue with them questioning. We're not questioning your competence. We're not questioning your credibility. They're neighborhood residents that have legitimate concerns that want answers. And I
Yes.
think we should give them answers and work with them. And it's not personal. They have every right to ask these questions. I'm sorry.
Okay.
I don't
Mr.
think because you have 20 years of history of doing good work means you should get a pass when you're building a plaza that's going to affect their lives. They have to say he's trusted. We're not going to ask questions. Because you don't have
Mr.
answers to their questions. You can't. You
Yes,
still can't
if
tell
I-
Mr. Ronan how he's
Yes,
going to access this parking spot. You don't
Okay.
have answers. The DOT was denying that Mr. Ronan even owns a property there. They came to verify he even owns the lot. So I'm sorry. If you're gonna build this project, you're gonna have to take questions.
I understand that and I agree to that, but I would like to ask Mr. Ronan where he got the information from that I pulled out from the deal, from the project. Can you answer me, Mr. Ronan?
Well, first of all, I didn't speak last night at all at the committee meeting. It was someone else that brought that up. So I didn't speak
Okay.
at all last night at the committee meeting. I was very silent. I did
Okay.
hear it from other people on the board, on Community Board 9. And I'd just like to make a statement that I understand from what you're saying that you're community activists, but the Community Board 9 knew nothing about this whole project.
It does
was
not
approved.
reach that stage yet, Mr. Ronan.
No, but it was approved. It was
We are
approved
doing-
by the DOT. I've
we
been
are-
on many Community Board 9 meetings about this, specific with the Transportation Committee, and they have themselves voiced concern that they were not aware of this project prior to it being approved by the DOT. It's not the way it's supposed to go. It's not they usually get this. I mean, again, I'm not on the board. This is coming from the board members, from the committee members. They're saying that this is not the way it's done. And that's why we started asking questions. Now, the only time we found out about it is when you made a groundbreaking or you made a ceremony on the block. We saw the police closing off the blocks. The residents, I was one of them, went up to the police and said, "What are you closing off the block for?" They said they're making some sort of community. It wasn't a groundbreaking, some sort of, they had a singer and a poetry write. There was no Jewish presentation at all there. And I know Mr. Berman, and I know people on the community board. They're very active with all the community around us that have lived. And if they were invited, at least one person would have attended had they known about that meeting, you know.
Let me,
Wait, Mr. Cohen, Carmen Martinez is the chair of the transportation. Can you shed some light over here? What's going on?
okay, well, let me just answer that question to Mr. Ronan, because the groundbreaking ceremony that he's talking about has nothing to do with my development. That was Vivian Morgan, who is chair of Parks committee who honored the soldiers that got killed at that location. So if there was no Jewish people there, it has nothing to do with my development.
I was there. They
Rabbi
did discuss
Cohen.
the development.
I just spoke to Rabbi Cohen today, and he is in with me with the development. And he said, Mr. Cohen, there is a concern for the neighbors who is living in that area. And I said, well, we didn't reach that time yet where we could notify them. And we have to make sure that we're going to have approval from DOT if it could be done before we could notify anyone. So now that we know that we got approval, we are just in the process of notifying the community. I spoke to the church and they are on board. I spoke to other politicians, they are on board, because this is not for me. And this is for the community. So that is why I'm kind of reluctant to hear the kind of question as if I am incapable of handling this situation and to make Jewish people safe, to make Black people safe, and to make people in the community safe. That is like an insult to my intelligence, and I'm not going for that.
Thank you, Mr. Cohen. Carmen, can you maybe talk a little bit about what we knew, when we knew, and how? I think most importantly, Mr. Cohen, I think Mr. Onen, Mr. Newboard, and all the residents here, Carmen, I know for sure, some of the other, the committee members, we're one community, we work together, we all want the same thing. And going forward, I think that if it's done right, the plaza could be something very beautiful. So how, with the help of Carmen, Mr. Cohen, can you work with community residents and neighbors so that we could have the conversation going and make sure this goes in the direction we all want it to go?
Well, Mr. Yakov, as I mentioned to you that I'm the president of the precinct council for 18 years. I dealt with everyone in the community with respect and dignity. And of course, I've known Ms. Carmen for many years. And of course, I will work with her to the best of my ability. And I'm sure in return, she will do the same, because this is not one person. This is for the community. People who build buildings in Crown Heights build it for profit. I am building this just to break even and make sure that the community can be a part of it, because it's really needed. You don't have a restaurant in Crown Heights where you could go with your family and sit down and have armed guard 24 hours where you are safe, and have a 4-star restaurant where you can eat. And this is, we're going to try to have a a kosher kitchen so Jewish people can participate of it. I am not doing it for just one type of people. I'm doing it for Crown Heights.
Carmen?
So basically, for those that might be new to this whole conversation about Clove Road, but I joined Community Board 9, I believe in 2013. And during that time, there were conversation going on between the Community Board and DOT concerning Clove Road. There was an architect, Michael Cetera, who had actually designed a plaza pretty much the way that the current proposal looks. And he was part of the conversation. The deputy board commissioner for DOT used to come to those meetings. The meetings went on 2013, 2014, then they stopped in early 2015, because the community's concern at that time were the preservation of the cobblestone because of its historical value. DOT wanted to basically rip them off, tar the whole area, pave it, and just do away with the cobblestone. The community was against that. The councilwoman Lori Cumbo had dedicated funding, which we don't even know what happened to those funding. That's something that we have to look into to try to help find a solution to preserving these cobblestones. Then all of a sudden, conversation ceased. There have been no further communication from DOT. So this is not a Carl Cohen issue. This is a DOT issue. The conversation ceased between 2015 up until 2018, when we inquired again about what was the status of the Clove Road project after not having heard anything for years. DOT said in a response, the email is in the office, that the project was on hold. They were not moving forward because there could be no consensus reached in terms of how the whole situation was going to be dealt with. The ceremony that is being referred to here had nothing to do with Carl. Vivian Morgan and Friends of Wingate Park, and it wasn't even a community board event. There was actually no community board members present because it was not a community board event. It was a Friends of Wingate Park, which I didn't even know what that was all about. I happened to show up late. There was a few candidates. They weren't even elected official. They were candidates for the city council seats that were there and spoke. There was a reggae band, there was poetry, there was dancing. I saw Michael Cetera there briefly before I can approach to talk to him. He was gone. And he had that design in his hand, the whole design and everything. And at that point, that's when we like, wait a minute, well, what's going on with Clove Road? Because we're hearing about these being, there's been plans being made, et cetera, et cetera. Reached up to DOT. They again said there was nothing going forward with the project. Then we got an email from DOT, the board, saying, oh, we have chosen a developer for the Clove Road project. We want input from the community board. Everybody was like, what? In shock. What do you mean? We were told that this project was not even moving forward. So there's a whole host of issues here. And the reason why I asked Carl to come to this meeting, because you guys needed to hear that this is not just a project that just dropped from the sky out of the blue. This is an issue that DOT has been basically dealing with for years. Without all of the development, the new development came about without our input. And we have been trying to get everybody on the same page about the project, get the community involved about the project. And again, for those that came to the meeting last night, there was no information given whatsoever. Which is why it's so good that this meeting is taking place, because there is information being shared. So again, from what I understand, there's only been 55 responses from the survey. There was supposed to be 2 workshops in conjunction with Community Board 9 in January, in February. They never took place. And so our concern, me from the Transportation Committee aspect, is let the community have input. Let us put together a project that is pleasing to everyone, that everybody can agree on, that everybody's on the same page about, and that's always that is all about. But from yesterday's meeting and today's meeting, there's miscommunication, whether intentional, unintentional, misguided, we don't know. So we're hoping that after this dialogue tonight, we can finally get together and come up with a concrete plan as to what it is that's going to go on with this plaza, because like I said, this is not a new project. This goes back when I came on in 2013. It was already being discussed, so it predates 2013. So that's too many years of going back and forth about this global project. That's all I have to say.
And I want to just add, Carmen, I heard from the plaza department in the city, they stopped hearing from the architect that represents Mr. Cohen as well. I don't know if he's no longer on the project. I don't remember exactly what they said, but something along the lines of whoever was communicating with them is no longer the one that's going to be communicating with them. So what I'm asking from everybody here is that we have a commitment that we're going to work together. I think Carmen should be points, and maybe Carl and the head of, you said you're the head of construction. The head of construction should reach out, and we should coordinate with the residents, the Malbone residents, obviously, because they own property on Clove, and they're also the closest residents, the neighboring buildings, the church, the schools, and we work on something together that for the betterment of Crown Heights. That's what all we want. We all want the same thing. We want a beautiful Crown Heights, a beautiful community where people get along, where people live in peace, quality of life. So let's commit to try to work together and get the, do what we want. We all want, work on this, our shared common cause.
It'll be nice if we can get everyone's email, because we have the project manager and the coordinator on this Zoom call, Stefan Smith and Simon Paul, and they are coordinating this. And I would like also to mention a very important fact. Mr. Cohen will be living in that building that he's building. So there's just no way that he would allow it to deteriorate. So he's have an active role in that building. He's putting his own money to making sure it's clean. He's putting his own money to make sure that the security of that area and the people that use it will be secure. So in those two circumstances, I would just like to say, we certainly want to work with everybody concerned. And we have great ideas, and the American War of Independence. We know what those cobblestone means to everybody. We already have plans in taking them out. We're putting in a pool there in memory. We're trying to get some of the names of the people that died there during the Independence War, and we want to use those cobblestone and get that done. So we are taking very careful notes of everybody within the community, and we are taking very good note about everyone's feelings and judgment, because the last thing we want is to upset anyone. We just want to make sure this project is successful and it's a benefit and a help to the people of Crown Heights.
I just want to add one more little thing that they brought up, just a quick thing. They brought up that in 2013, I mean, I've been living here for quite a while, and we've been back and forth with Community Board 9 about the state of the road on Clove Road and Malbone Street. And we've been continuously trying to call 311 to get repaving done of Clove Road. It's a third world road. It's dangerous. There's potholes.
Okay.
And a lot of now we're talking about the plaza. And in 2013, the main concern of the residents was always just to make at least a usable road where it's not with potholes. And as you know, the cobblestones, there's some cobblestones yes, some cobblestones no. That's very difficult on people to walk and cars to drive. And the DOT, in those days, the DOT was prepared to repave it, but because of the community board wanted more preservation of stuff, that no one wanted to foot the bill. And so it was just left in disarray. Now you were talking about the plaza. What happens to the rest of Clove Road? It still needs to be fixed as well, because Clove Road, between where your plaza is going to end and Empire Boulevard, is still in total disrepair with potholes and half the cobblestones in and half the cobblestones out. It's dangerous. Where our kids play here on the weekends. We have, the Saturday where kids are playing. Most of them, we don't have computers and iPads and all that on the Saturdays, and the kids play outside a lot. So it is quite a dangerous place for kids to play. They fall, scratch themselves, hurt themselves. It has to be fixed, and that should be part of this project with the DOT or whatever. The Clove Road in a unison, the entire Clove Road has to be fixed. That was what the residents have been asking for 10 to 15 years for the road to be fixed. And that's really what was contentious issue back in 2013. The DOT had the money, but they said if we don't decide what to do, they're going to spend it elsewhere, and they probably did. So I'd like to know what's going to happen with the rest of Clove Road being fixed.
Does anybody from the project want to address that? Are you including the rest of Clove Road, or that's not your area of jurisdiction?
No, it's not my area. My jurisdiction ends on the end of the property line.
So Carmen, you want to reach out to DOT and see where they stand on this?
Yes,
Great.
we'll reach out, and the staff is online, whoever is there, to make sure that the follow-up is done with that inquiry, so that they can provide us with an answer as to how it's going to move forward in terms of the rest of the road. But I imagine that they probably figuring not to deal with it until after they do the plaza, because again, they keep claiming that the project is not a solid proposal. But in terms of everybody getting in touch, I would just suggest that everybody that's here that's not part of your committee, put the email on the chat so that the board can add them to the email list for these meetings, so that they make sure to be in attendance for the next ones.
Mr. Cohen, I apologize, Carmen. Mr. Cohen just want to let you guys know his computer frozen, but he has a meeting that he has to attend, and an executive board meeting for his council, so for 8 o'clock. So I do apologize.
Well, I want to thank you for coming, and Mr. Cohen for coming, and Mr. Newbert and Ronan and all the community residents that came. And I think this was a great, we opened the door to working together. And I know Carmen a long time. She works with all the demographics. I think she should be lead over here. She also chairs the DOT committee for the Transportation Committee of Community Board 9. I think we could work with the neighbors, with the church, with the school, and we'll figure this out, and we'll sit down. But again, the one request we have is no surprises.
Absolutely.
You've heard from us. We have concerns. Mr. Newbert is here. Mr. Ronan is here. They exist. So before we go forward, let's reach out to them. Let's reach out to the school. Let's reach out to the church. Let's bring them up to speed. And going forward, before a major decision is made, why don't you reach out and say, what do the neighbors want? What do the residents want? How will this work for you? And let's do this together, because Crown Heights could use a plaza. We could use a new Clove Road if it's done right.
Correct. I agree.
I'm going to thank you again. I'm going to move to the next item on the agenda.
Okay.
Project Cure. Just briefly.
Okay.
Yeah, you want?
Yeah, so I'm jumping off. Thank you so much. And
thank you so much.
Again, thank you, Mr. Paul and Carl. I'll talk to him later. I'm glad that we have this conversation.
We'll be in touch, Carmen.
Yes, we'll figure it out. We'll figure it out. We'll work together on it.
And gentlemen, thank you so much.
Hi, if I could
And
just-
we'll be in touch with everybody.
Mr. Newbert.
Yeah, just for a few seconds, I just wanted to say that I look forward to working with you, Mr. Paul, and with Mr. Cohen. You know, I know that this first meeting may have been a little bit contentious, but you know, we didn't get any information, and we're just told
I
things,
understand.
you know, as if things were already done, you know, without any of our input. So, but we do look forward to working together with you. And I also just want to jump off, but there was one public safety thing, you know, on New York Avenue by the police station, the 71st precinct, going up New York Avenue, there are barricades, there's a tree along New York Avenue going up, and there's barricades, and there's an area that's only about maybe 2 or 3 feet wide, but it's over cobblestone, you know, where they plant trees and they have like cobblestones, and pedestrians who are going through with strollers or carts or elderly. It's a hazardous condition. If maybe somebody could reach out to the police department to move in the barricades. I'm not sure what purpose they're serving altogether, but at least to move it in a few feet so that there's adequate room for people to walk up and down the sidewalk there.
No, okay.
Mia, can you reach out tomorrow? All right, Mr. Newboard, be in touch with Community Board 9. Mia, who is the assistant district manager, is going to reach out tomorrow and try to help you with that.
Thank you so much.
Definitely.
Have
Thank
a
you.
wonderful evening.
Thank you all. Have a
for-
wonderful evening.
Thank you. Just for
Bye-bye.
the committee members to stay for a few more minutes so we could address the liquor licenses quickly. Project Cure it was in the news that the mayor allocated funding for Project Cure. My understanding is that Project Cure is funding to bring in outside organizations for crime prevention to work with the community instead of intervention. Once the crimes happens, we want prevention to prevent the crime. I understood from the mayor's office that they have not yet decided which organizations are going to be working with 71st, but there is funding that was allocated to 71st. And once we have an organization in place, we will, we will bring them on to the community board meeting, the committee, and then the meeting to find out how we as a board could help them with prevention. We all would like to prevent crimes from happening before they happen. Nobody likes our youth arrested or put through the system. Let's go to the liquor authority licenses. Are there committee? I see here Mr. Pearson. Rashida, are you still here?
Hello?
Yeah, Rashida,
Yes,
you
I'm
here?
still here.
Great. Is anybody else here from the committee?
Yes, Tessa Hackett Vieira is there.
Great. And what about, isn't there a community board member from the committee here as well? A
There's
board
another
member?
committee member. Hold on one second.
Tessa's here, Yakov.
Great. So we have a quorum anyway between Rashida, me, you, and Mr. Pearson. We have a quorum. Let me bring the first, the first item on the agenda is MA Soul Food Plus LLC at 140 Empire Boulevard. A new liquor, wine, beer and cider license. Are you here?
Yes.
Can you please briefly introduce yourself? Tell us a drop about your establishment and what you like from the board.
Good afternoon. My name is Brenda Michelle. I'm the manager of my Soul Food Plus. And I'm opening a restaurant with a minimum of 3 drinks, and the capacity is 40 people. And it's an eatery and full menu. And I'll be making sure that my area is kept clean, as well as monitoring for safety precautions.
So, Ms. Michelle, this is Tessa Hackett Vera. I'm a committee member. So it's 140 Empire between where and where?
I just dropped in the chat. It's MA Soul Food, right?
Yes.
I just dropped the application in the chat.
Oh, you did? Okay.
I have Tessa. Where is your location? You want to respond to Tessa's question?
It's
Empire between where and where? Can she hear me? Mia, can she hear me?
yes, it's on Empire
Yes,
and
you're
Bedford.
on.
Can she hear me,
It's-
Mia?
Yes, I can hear you. You can't hear me?
Yes,
Yes,
Ms.
okay.
Hackenberg, we can hear you. We can hear you.
Okay, so it's Empire between where and where?
Empire and Bedford is on the corner.
Empire and Bedford.
In that little.
Empire and Bedford.
Mrs. Hackenberg, do you remember where the 7-Eleven was on the corner in that small retail space?
Oh, yeah, yeah, they had the piano place
And
and the
there's the
bicycle
piano
place,
place, the
the
pharmacy, and then,
bicycle place
yes,
in
yes,
there.
where Pizza Hut used to be, I believe.
Yes.
Oh,
Yes,
okay, all right. Yeah, that's a nice spot. Not a lot of foot
Mhm.
traffic, but maybe some, some traffic from, park goers, Prospect Park goers in the summer. Okay.
I have one quick question. I see on your Community Board 9 SLA liquor license application questionnaire, there is no date. I'm wondering why there's no date on your questionnaire, on your application submitted to the board.
The opening day?
It's in the chats.
I'm looking
I can't hear you. I don't know who's,
I'm looking for it right now.
yeah.
What date is it? Which date are you referring to?
It just says today's date. When you fill out the top item on the on the questionnaire is to put in the date. I don't see a date there.
It may have just been a negligence on my behalf.
All right. Are there any other questions? Thank you for clarifying that. Are there any
You're
other
quite
questions
welcome.
from the committee or from the board regarding this establishment? All right. Is Brooklyn Food and Arts LLC here?
Yes,
All right. I understand you're requesting a community support. You want to move within the museum, the location of your establishment or where you sell?
I'd like to
alcohol?
introduce myself. Yeah, I'm Barbara Kwan. I'm counsel to the licensee in Brooklyn Museum. There is an existing approved bar on the 3rd floor that is used for certain events. They want to change the location from one part of the 3rd floor to another part of the 3rd floor. In addition, they would like to add a bar to the sculpture garden area, which is on the ground level.
Thank you. Any questions from the committee?
So, Ms. Kwan, so they're requesting approval for a new wine and beer and liquor license, or?
Yes, one additional bar in the sculpture garden, and then just the movement of a relocation of one bar within the museum.
Wait,
So Yakov, what's that considered?
I'm not really sure. I only see here, Mia, I see here on the agenda, it says alteration to existing license.
Yes, that would only be relevant to the movement of the existing bar.
So where is the new license application?
Oh, just a form of technicality. There's, if you're I apologize, I don't know what your procedure is, but if you're mirroring what the SLA does, an addition of a bar is part of an alteration to an existing license. It's not a new liquor license application. So when we're given options to complete forms with the SLA, it's an alteration add bar. That's sort of the technical concept because it's an existing licensee.
Got it. Well, first of all, I hope the museum opens up again soon. I hope it's going to be safe. And all establishments that managed to survive during COVID are sticking around, where we want to support, and we thank all establishments that, that are trying to stay open and do it safely. And we hope that you're successful and that we get past this pandemic and that the establishment survives and does well.
Yakov, this is Fabian Milburn. I'm Chief of Staff and Chief Legal Officer for the Brooklyn Museum. Thankfully, we have been able to weather the storm. We are open again. We are subscribing to the 25% occupancy rule, and members of the community are coming back. I think after being cooped up, frankly, for so long. The museum is able to give them a place to come to actually see art and participate safely. Our partner in this, Great Performances, which is our catering service, has also established a food truck outside in a safe practice so that when you come to the museum to see the new art, you are also able to get a bite to eat and just to really enjoy the museum and the space around it.
Thank you. Well, maybe maybe we'll participate in the near future.
Well,
I'm
if
still
you
scared to
do,
go I'm still a little bit scared to go to museums. It's soon, hopefully.
this I can tell you, we're very strict about it. We count everything, and we are doing everything by the book to maintain safety of both our staff, our members, as well as our guests.
Well, we appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you for keeping us safe. I'm going to go to the next item. We have one more. Taste of the City Lounge, 903 Franklin Avenue, Brooklyn, New York. A new liquor, wine, beer, and cider license. Are you here? Taste of the City Lounge, are you here? Mia, did they leave? Are they coming back?
I just let them in about 5 minutes ago. They should be here. Maybe they just stepped away from
All
their
right,
monitor.
you keep your
over
eyes
there.
open, see if they come in. I'm going to vote meanwhile so we could save time.
Got it.
Did we have a MA Soul Food Plus for a new license? Do we have a motion to support this application?
This is Tessa Hackett Vera, so moved.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
Rashida Sadiq, second.
Thank you. Mr. Pearson, how do you vote?
Yes, you hear me?
Yes, thank you. I vote yes as well. Is there any other committee members?
Did you hear me?
Yeah, who's
I
speaking?
believe that, I'm sorry, Yakov, I believe that is the applicant from Taste the City. Sir, just give us one moment.
Give us one
We'll
second.
give-
Yes. Okay, so it's 4 yes. Are there any other committee members at this meeting?
Yes, I'm here.
No. Any committee members?
Oh, okay. No.
All right, so as we say in Hebrew, Mazel Tov. Let me go to the second application before we go to,
Thank you very much, and I have a good night.
Good night.
Thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Okay, Miss Michelle, good
Thank
luck
you.
to you.
Good
Thank you
luck.
very much. I hope to see you.
Do some advertising, girl.
Yes, ma'am, I surely will.
Do we have a motion for Brooklyn Food and Arts LLC to provide a letter of support for an alteration to an existing license? Do we have a motion to approve?
Go, Rashida.
Motion to approve. Motion to.
I'm
approve.
sorry, motion to provide a letter of support.
Yes, this is a motion to provide a letter of support for their to existing license.
Do we have a second?
Go, Yankee.
A second.
Thank you, Mr. Pearson. How do you vote?
Tessa Hackett Vera votes yes.
Thank you. I vote yes as well. So it's 4 yes. Mazel Tov again, and keep safe. Hopefully the museum will open soon to full occupancy, and we'll be done with this pandemic. We have one more-
On behalf of the museum, I just want to say thank you very much. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Have a great night.
Be well.
Taste of the City. Are you here?
Yes, I'm here.
All right. If you could briefly tell us a little bit about your establishment and what you're trying to do, what you're asking from the board.
Yes, my name is September Pierre. I'm trying to open a bar on a restaurant on 903 Franklin Avenue. It's gonna be a restaurant with the full liquor, but we're gonna keep it quiet, and then not very loud party.
When I drop their application into the chat, if anybody doesn't have it.
Okay.
When do you plan to open?
Well, another 3 months, I will be able to open the restaurant part. Another 3 months. Hello?
Yeah, I'm listening. I'm just reading your application. Are there any questions from any of the board members or committee members?
So Taste of the City or Taste of
Yes.
Brooklyn.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. So hours of operation, what kind of food? Where 903 Franklin is between where and where? Give us some details, Taste of the City. You looking for our support, you gotta tell us more than that.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm on 903 in front of the precinct. Between Crown, I think in Crown. So you know.
Are you next to the supermarket?
Yes, next to the supermarket. I'll be
Okay.
closed around like 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock sometime.
So it's a sports bar it's a sports bar with where you could get something to eat, or is it a restaurant where you can get something to drink?
Yeah, it's a restaurant where you could get something to drink. You know, it's
What
gonna
time-
be a Western then restaurant, you know, mixed
What time
Caribbean
do you-
restaurant.
What time do you say you're closing?
Around like 2 o'clock or 1 o'clock sometime.
Okay, so your
On the weekend,
application says Monday to Thursday, you're closing at 12 a.m. So is that accurate?
yes, yes,
Friday, Saturday, you're closing at 3 a.m.
yes,
and Sunday, 12 a.m., right?
yes, sir.
So what are you going to do to ensure that there's no noise or people outside drinking or taking alcohol out? Are you going to have security? How are you going to make sure that this doesn't become, that nobody parties? 3 a.m. is pretty late to have a bar open.
I understand, but I would make sure like my staff, keep everybody inside. We're not gonna let people stay outside too long and loud of noise and stuff. We're gonna make it, make sure everything would be, very quiet. Because I'm a very responsible person. I would make sure my staff is, very responsible as well.
So Taste of the City, you're right across from the precinct, so you gotta have, you and your people gotta behave yourself. That's number one.
Exactly, yeah.
And number two, if you're gonna be open till 2 and 3 o'clock, that means there's gonna be dancing. So I already smell that.
Background
There's nothing
music.
wrong with dancing. There's nothing wrong with dancing. Dancing is a good thing. It's good for the soul.
Yeah, I understand. Thank you so much, man. Thank you.
There's nothing wrong with dancing. There's nothing wrong with a baby shower or a birthday party that lingers on,
Yeah, as long as
After
they keep it
COVID,
quiet.
we all need to celebrate something.
Thank you so much. And I see a lot of business being closed in the neighborhood. I'm trying to bring some job in the neighborhood. I'm gonna make sure that I hire the people in the neighborhood to work.
That's great.
You understand? Because I see a lot of business being closed in the neighborhood.
Yeah, well, you're across the street from the precinct, so you got to behave yourself over there.
Yeah, definitely I will. I promise.
All right, do we have a motion to provide a letter of support for this establishment?
Go Yankee.
Mr. Pearson?
Yes.
So we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Yeah, second, Tessa Hackett Vera.
Thank you, Rashida. How do you vote?
Yes.
Thank you. I vote yes as well. Mazel tov. Reach out to the board office. And first of all, please come to the general board meeting. And we're going to provide a recommendation to the full board, and hopefully they will vote to provide a letter of support as well.
All right. Thank you, sir. Thank you. I appreciate
I'm
it.
sorry it was such a late meeting. I really, really appreciate that the committee members stayed the entire time. And I want to say that I feel on a personal note, and I think we should all, I'm going to go around to the committee and let them, share their feelings as well. That although the meeting was a little bit contentious, I think we brought people together. And that's really what we're here for. I hope that this meeting will be the beginning of a beautiful working relationship between the neighbors and developers. And it just, I think we really did something beautiful tonight and something special. And I thank the board members for participating and being a part of it.
Yes, Yakov, I'd like to go next if you don't mind.
Of course.
Point of personal privilege. I just like to say that I'm glad that public safety stretched its boundaries to include transportation around an issue that's important to all community residents. I want to also say publicly that I support your view to always give establishments the benefit of the doubt because you appear to be singularly interested in small business thriving and bringing work to the community. And I want to also say to fellow board member Yankee Pearson and Rashida Sadiq, it's me, you, and Yakov. It's the four of us, and we show up and we do what we need to do for these liquor licensing. And I support Yakov's position that he's always, except for something extraordinary, he's always willing to give small business a chance to survive.
Thank you so much. Mr. Pearson?
Yes.
Say something.
I think Yaakov does a wonderful job as the running this committee, and I want to thank everybody on the committee for showing up and participating, and yeah, caught me off guard.
Thank you so much, Mr. Pearson. Thank you for coming to all these meetings, because without, like Tessa said, you know, we have a few more members to this committee, but the fact the four of us show up, that's why we have quorum, that's why we could vote, and that's why we could get things done. Rashida, can I ask you to close out the meeting?
Thank you, everyone, for coming out, everyone for doing their job and being a part of the community and making these committees work. Have a great evening.
Thank you so much, Rashida. Bye. Good night, everybody.
Aren't you gonna address our issue? You
Oh,
were
I'm
supposed.
sorry. I didn't, is it still on the, I don't know why, hold on a second. I don't know why it's not, it was supposed to be on the agenda. I don't see it on the agenda. We'll put in new business. You want, briefly, can you address your issue with, can I quickly summarize what I did so far, and then I'll give you an opportunity to speak?
Sure, thank you.
There were several noise complaints on Utica Avenue, late night. We've seen videos and audio of late night cars and music coming from vans. There's one in a gas station and two adjacent parking lots. In addition, there was, I think there's a chicken place across, like there's some place that sells maybe fried chicken or something.
Fish.
Fried fish. And there used to be a Walmart or something that had noise as well, right? Or or Walgreens, they boarded up?
Walgreens has gotten their fence together, and that's been addressed.
Right, so that's been addressed. So it came to my attention, there's been noise complaints and a lot of noise complaints. So I reached out to the local police department, and they basically told me is that we've been in touch with the residents from the borough level down, from chiefs, from elected officials on multiple occasions. And their position is that because it's a very noisy street, and there are multiple locations where this noise is happening, it's not in one location, it's not all the time, they don't see what more enforcement they could do. They could come.
It is not on the street. It is in the parking lot
I
where.
understand, but it's on a parking lot that's open.
Let me address this, Yaakov. This has been over 2 years, and I've had over 30 pages of 311 reports. I have last week had a meeting with the Councilwoman Alika Samuels and the 71st, one of the NCO from the 71st and one from the 67th. The 71st precinct has done their part in trying to curb that, because one side of the street is the 71st and the other side is the 67th. The 67th has done nothing. And it's drug dealing, open drinking, and music from 10 o'clock in the morning all the way till 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. They're loud music. They now have an event center that they have added to the melee of what is going on. We have 60% of our people are seniors in my development. I have a senior who begged to be moved from the apartment that she was in. It took us a few months to find her apartment, and she died before she moved in of an embolism because she was complaining about the noise. This has been going on for far too long, and instead of nipping it in the bud, it has escalated to the fact now where they're openly dealing drugs, don't even care of what is going on. It's a quality of life issue. We are a development of 288 units. We have neighbors on Maple and on Midwood Street that have issues. This is something that I have brought to the community board before, and I'd like it addressed. If not, then I'm just gonna keep escalating until I get some answers. I don't get any rest on a given night. I'm up till 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, and I have to get up and go to work for 8:30. And when I get home at 5 o'clock or 5:30, the noise starts and it goes on all night because these people don't work, and their work is what they're doing. And they also, when it comes to the other neighbors, people are complaining. people are complaining and the neighborhood has gone down. You have a daycare, a social daycare for adults right next door, 3 churches in the vicinity, and Kingsbrook Jewish Hospital. The lighting is terrible. I asked when we had the meeting with the councilwoman, we're just asking for more lighting on the street because we need to ensure that in certain areas that the light is there will probably dissuade them. They shot a man next to what is going on in 10 o'clock one morning at the AutoZone on the street at 10 a.m. They robbed an old man in the parking lot at Walgreens. These things are now escalating, and I'm afraid that it's going to take over the development. So I am trying to get help. I've been trying for 2.5 years and have gotten nowhere. So I'm not going to give up.
First of
I'm
all,
not giving up.
I want to just say you've accomplished a lot. The Walgreens is now boarded up, right?
The Walgreens has a fence around it that closes at night and they can't get in. Yes.
That's great. Thank you for that.
You're welcome. The 71st precinct, I have to say my NCOs at the 71st precinct, very responsive. And they have now, the gas station is not an issue because that's their side. The Walgreens and the gas station is the 71st precinct side. And we've worked together to nip that. And that has been done so far. And if there's an issue and I call, it's addressed right away. The 67th precinct, however, they don't even pick up the phone. If I sent you, I'm not sure if I sent you 2 calls that I had, the phone rang out, nobody picked up. So the 67th precinct is an issue. It's on their side of the street and they don't seem to care.
But the complaint you sent me last week was on the 71st side.
No,
It was the gas station.
no, that was before. That wasn't last week. That wasn't this. The gas station has been fixed for over a month now. We have no issues. The 71st is very responsive with how they are operating. You thought it was the 71st. I corrected and said it was the 67th.
No, but then I reached out to the 71st and they told me that's actually their area, what you sent them, the complaint.
Part of it is their area. Across the street is the 67. They have really been responsive and I have very little issue with them. And if I do and I call, they respond.
So what is it that you want the Public Safety Committee to do, Yunella?
I would like, as I said, the 67 precinct, because at the last meeting when I brought it up, Rabbi Behrman said he was going to try and put a meeting together with both precincts. The 71st has been responsive, as I said. So it's the 67 that we have difficulty.
What is it that you want the Public Safety Committee to do?
I would like to have police presence in the area because they start in the morning and go to or even in the evening. In the evening up to 2 o'clock in the morning, they're still out there drinking.
So what is it that you want the Public Safety Committee to do?
I'd like to have some lighting in the area and I'd like to see a meeting so that we can come to some medium where we
When you say lighting, what do you mean? You mean public street lights?
Public street light, temporary police lights, any light that will dissuade them from what they're doing now.
Did the 71st precinct, did you request that from the 71st precinct for them to put up the floodlight?
I did last year and they provided it. And that was one of the things that really helped in transitioning for us to get the gate up and or at the 71st. But the 71st did provide, when we requested it, a temporary lighting for a few weeks. They did.
Okay, so could they do that again?
So Tesha, I reached out to the police and the message they gave me was basically they're doing their best. It's a very loud street corner.
Precinct told you that, Yaakov?
The police told me that they're doing their best. They're aware of what they told me, more importantly, what they told me is that you've been doing a great job at communicating to the police at all levels, from the chiefs to the borough, to the local precincts, to the council members. And this is on everybody's radar. They're doing their best. They're not really sure what more they can do. They don't have resources to put a cop car there full time. One of the major challenges, they said it's coming from 4 different locations. So it's not like it's one location. You're telling them to secure an entire area. And
No, coming from 2 locations, which is on the same side of the street with Rutland Road running.
but a month ago, it was 4 locations, right?
No. I just said the 71st precinct is not an issue. It's the
You sent me a
60th.
complaint from a month ago where it was an issue. So in the last month, it no longer became an issue.
There you go.
And what's going to happen when it becomes an issue again in a week?
If there's an issue with the 71st, as I said before, I called up and it's addressed. So they're responsive. It's the 67 precinct that has done nothing.
All right,
And what do you, and is this, the 67 precinct is not in Community Board 9, that's correct? Is that correct, Junella?
Pardon?
The 67 precinct is not in Community Board 9, is that correct?
It's in the 43rd district, that much I know.
It was in the 43rd district, but it's not under the auspice of Community Board 9, correct?
I have no idea.
So can
Yeah,
we
the
just-
60
Maybe, can
Guys,
Yunella, can I just speak for a second because it's getting, yes.
And Warren's
Can we
also waiting to speak.
potentially- Can we reach out to find out which community board covers that area, 67 precinct, and maybe bring it up to their public safety committee, see if they can also help out and intervene as well?
I think
Very quickly, we're abutted by 17.
So it's
So it's
17.
Community Board, it's Community Board 17, correct?
Yes, the 6,
So
6,
it's
7 is
not,
in
so
17.
so as long as Unella is saying or stating that the 71st precinct is cooperating with her, that's within the jurisdiction of Board 9. Now, the 67th is within the jurisdiction of Board 17. So we have no jurisdiction over that.
Yes,
What-
sir.
That's why I
can't
asked you
ever-
3
we can
times, what
potentially-
is it that you asking us to do?
When
Let's
I
say-
spoke at the last meeting, Yakov said he was going to try and convene a meeting with the 67th and the 71st. That's why I brought it. That's why I asked.
Okay,
Okay.
That-
okay,
I-
all right.
I did say that, and I want Warren Burke to comment and Rashida because they're both waiting, and we'll close the call. I'll tell you what I suggested I asked, give me the name of the entities that own the parking lots,
I'll send the
and I'll try to reach out to them. I don't think that it's practical to ask for police lighting there on a long-term basis. I just know because it's not going to last. It will be a week here, a week there. We need to work with the entities and see if we can get them to put up lighting and cameras because it's not, there's not enough resources in NYPD to deal with this problem. We have to try to work with the establishments that own the properties. And I'm willing to work, and I'm waiting for you to get back to me with that information.
You asked that yesterday. I'll send it to you.
Okay, great. And from the police perspective, they're doing their best. They'll continue responding. But they say that it's noise complaints and they have very limited resources and they can't really do anything.
It's drugs.
Yes, but Unella, you gotta prove that. And if for right now, what Yakov is saying that the 71st told him, they don't have the resource to
The
roll up
complaints-
on them and
I understand.
arrest people for smoking marijuana. That's now legal.
Complaints online are noise. I have not seen any record of drug
I am not
complaints.
saying about smoking marijuana. I'm saying they are dealing drugs in the middle of the day.
Do you have a
selling-
record? Do you have a record of a 311 complaint that complaining about drug selling?
Yes.
So please send
Excuse
it.
me, everybody, this is Warren.
Warren.
Warren Burke, I'm the first vice chair of the community board. Based on the good work of Yakov, as well as the emails that Unella said, is that we're going to be bringing this up at our executive board meeting next week. And we are hoping that now that we have a district manager and we're establishing a district council with each of the entities that you're speaking about, that will be able to pursue this.
Great.
So
Thank you so much. Thank you, Warren.
you're welcome. So let's see what happens.
Yes,
And by all means, attend the executive board meeting.
I will.
And let's see, this is a new experience for us because we have a district manager. But let's see what we can do to cross the boundaries.
Right. And thank you, Rashida. It's a good suggestion to reach out and trust me, I will. To the 67th. I did reach out to find out who is in charge. I still have not. found that out. I tried several times to find out when it was their NCO meeting, and I didn't get that information either. But I will persevere because I'm not giving up. I said.
What about Board 17? Who has jurisdiction?
I will go to Board 17. I will reach out to Board 17 bright and early tomorrow.
Thank you, Tessa.
Very good.
Rashida, you want to close the meeting again for the final time?
Thank you.
Everyone have a great afternoon. It's been a long meeting. Enjoy.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Good night.
Good night.
Good night, everyone.
Thank you.